Good day, everyone. How are you doing? This is Extreme Foolishness TV. I'm your host here. If this is your first time watching, thank you. If you haven't subscribed, please click the subscribe button and click the bell notification. So that way, you can get all the juicy stuff about Extreme Foolishness once it's uploaded. I will be talking today about the Goya boycott. Well, President Trump had a roundtable with Hispanic leaders. There were several leaders in the Hispanic communities who came to the White House to have a roundtable with President Trump. One of the people who came was Mr. Unanue. I believe I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He's the CEO of Goya Foods. He's the grandson of Spanish immigrants who came and founded the company. It's a multi-billion-dollar company here in the United States. So at a press conference, he said that he is blessed to have a leader like President Trump.
Truly blessed at the same time to have a leader like President Trump who is a builder. And that's what my grandfather did. He came to this country to build, to grow, to prosper. And so we have an incredible builder, and we pray. We pray for our leadership, our president, and we pray for our country that we will continue to prosper and to grow.
And after that, Twitter world went on fire. There were calls to boycott Goya Foods. Twitter started trending about boycotting Goya Foods. And the fans of President Trump said they were going to start buying Goya. But the problem now is that, why do you think he said that? I'm going to tell you guys what I feel. I think, first of all, as a CEO, you have to know your customer base. You can't just ignore your customer base. A lot of the CEOs become so big, their companies become so big that they forget the customers who made them. Your core customers is the Hispanic community who buy most of your food. So to make a statement praising Mr. Trump, who has clearly been a divisive figure in the Hispanic community, it's not going to bode well with your customers. And even if you made a mistake and said something that angered your customer base, I think the right thing for him to do was to apologize. But no, he said he was not going to apologize. He appeared on Fox News saying they are trying to silence his free speech. Well, Mr. CEO, no one is trying to silence your free speech. People are angered by what you said, and people have a right to spend their money where they deem fit. So you are entitled to your right to say what you want to say. But just know, words have consequences. That's my advice for you, Mr. CEO. Words have consequences. There's nothing wrong in saying I'm sorry. You are trying to stand on the side of Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump is not that type. He will throw you under the bus. And it appears Mr. Trump called this roundtable conference with Hispanic leaders just to make inroads with the Hispanic community. You know, election time is coming in November, and if you look at Mr. Trump's track record, he does not have a good relationship with the Hispanic community. Most recently, I'll say about 2 or 3 weeks ago, Mr. Trump lost a case in the Supreme Court of the United States. DACA. He tried to end DACA. DACA is a program that allows immigrants who came here as children, through no fault of their own, to stay and work in the United States. It was signed by former President Obama. Trump tried to end it. Trump has called Mexicans rapists, that they bring crime to the U.S. He doesn't have a good relationship with them. He has ostracized the Mexican community and the Hispanic community. He ran his election on that platform. that he was going to build a wall and that Mexico was going to pay for the wall. I don't know if that's ever happened because Mexico has not wrote him a check for that wall. He recently visited the wall that was being constructed, and I think he celebrated about 200 miles of the wall that was built. So you got to see all those things that Mr. Trump has done to the Hispanic community, especially putting children in cages, immigrant children who come from other countries, especially the Hispanic, Latin America countries. He put them in cages. So you can understand why the Hispanic community is not happy with Trump. It appears Trump is very radioactive right now. So my advice for the CEOs that, man, you can't pick every fight and you can't ignore your core base. Also, I would tell him that sometimes you don't have to honor every invitation. You don't have to answer every call. You don't have to go everywhere that you've been invited. The Goya CEO said, well, he answered the call when Mr. Obama came. He's answered the call with other presidents. So when Mr. Trump called him, he felt like he had to just show up. Well, even if you showed up, there were other leaders of the Hispanic community who showed up. You didn't have to sing his praises and make President Trump look like he's the best thing since sliced bread and said you've done such a wonderful job and you're the best thing that's happened. We love you. We adore you, Mr. Trump. That looks like pandering. It looks like you were doing a little bit too much. You could have just gone there and said, hey, this is the plight of the Hispanic community. I'm a CEO. This is what we need to do to empower the Hispanic community. They need jobs. They need health care. They need XYZ. You could have said all those things without pandering to Mr. Trump. So even if you wanted to honor the invitation, you did not have to pander to Mr. Trump. Sometimes a lot of these companies get too big because it's a multi-billion-dollar company, and sometimes they forget the very customers that help them get big. They forget the people buying their products because this guy said he's not going to apologize despite the angst against his company. That is not the fight you want to pick. There's nothing wrong in apologizing. Also, this might be a good time to support other small businesses who may appreciate you. I'm sure there are other smaller businesses who make products as good, if not better, than Goya. This might be a time to start spreading the love and spreading the wealth instead of overspending to a lot of these multi-billion-dollar companies who clearly may not give a you know what about you. And lastly, the tongue is a very, very powerful thing. The tongue can make or break you. The tongue can set your body on fire. Mr. CEO, your stance and not refusing to apologize to your customer base is extreme foolishness. Those are the people who buy your products. Those are the people who support you. Do not pander to some other base that is not your core base. So don't be extremely foolish. Watch this and apologize to the Hispanic community. I understand you have a right to your free speech. They have a right to spend their money where they want to spend it. Remember, not all battles are worth fighting. Sometimes it's just good to let go. This is Extreme Foolishness TV. Please subscribe, share, like. Let me know what you think. Do you think he should apologize? Or do you think he should take his stance and claim it's his free speech? Let me know. Share, like, and let me know your comments too. Thank you very much for watching Extreme Foolishness TV. On to the next.